Hello and welcome to our podcast show, Inside Interiors with Crydace Constructs. Each episode we link up with industry experts who take us a little deeper into interior construction. We'll be chatting about the basics and the details, giving you the answers to your questions, no matter how involved you are within our industry. Whether it's about the latest design trends or guidance on who does what, we have your back. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. Today we've got Kirrily from Suci Plants and Living with us. Say hi, Kirrily.
Hi.
Kirrily, do you want to introduce your business and what you do?
Yes. Well, I've got a business called Suci Plants and Living. The majority of our business is indoor plants. We supply plants for just a few smaller businesses, but we also have the retail shop where you can come in and have a look and purchase from there as well. It's been going for nearly 3 years now in the retail space, and it's just getting bigger and better because everybody's loving their indoor plants.
Yeah, definitely. As commercial fit out specialists, we love to know the current trends, and a huge one at the moment is having plants and greenery in and around the office. So how is business for you? Is it going strength to strength? I think when you first started, it was a small shop, and now you're saying you've got 2 employees, and yeah.
Yeah, it's going really well. And I mean, I guess due to COVID, a lot of people can't travel, so they're wanting their houses to look better as well. I think plants, indoor plants in the office and the home environment now has just become a part of life.
Yeah.
It makes you feel better having them around, and there's just so many benefits of having plants.
Yeah, definitely. So do you want to tell us what some of those benefits are?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely known to purify the air. There's a lot of scientific information about that. They make you feel better. They're meant to be good for noise pollution. There's quite a few different benefits, and they also say that it can bring out your creativity as well. Like, there's just aesthetically they look great. So there's lots of reasons.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, plants actually give out oxygen, which makes you feel better. So yeah, I've never actually thought about sound absorption. Yeah, which they would. A lot of offices, don't know if you can see behind, this is actually echo panel on the wall, and is designed to absorb sound. But yeah, plants would obviously add to that, help reduce like noise echoing around the room.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So the places that you go into, are they more like open plan offices that people want to break up spaces?
Not necessarily. A lot of businesses just want plants because, I mean, I guess they make you feel good. When you're outside, you feel great. So having plants inside does the same thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of bigger offices that will get a lot of plants, but there's also smaller offices that just have them for that reason. So,
yeah.
And sometimes certain plants are better than others for different environments. So yeah, it's definitely worth, whenever you go and look for plants for your office, always think about the environment that you're in. Is there any light? What's the air conditioning like? Is it near a vent? All those sorts of things are something to think about when you're actually looking at indoor plants for your office.
Okay. How does air conditioning affect them?
If you've got a plant straight under a vent that's just blowing air, the plant, number one, will dry out, and secondly, it just doesn't like. It's like us standing under an air conditioner. We would just hate standing under a heat all day.
Yeah, sure. What type of areas in an office or a shop, even, what type of areas do people normally want to put plants in, or do you recommend to put them in?
Well, I guess some people get quite a few to be almost a divider in an office, or break up a room. But the majority of the time when you're getting plants, you kind of want to make sure they're not in a high traffic area. So you want to put it in the corner of a room or on a desk or a shelf, somewhere like that.
Yeah, okay. And what about sizes? Like, are you putting all different sizes in, or do people normally,
Yeah,
get smaller, or?
I guess that's the same again. So if you've got a shelf, you'd have a smaller one. It also depends how much room you've got either side of it. A lot of people like one big feature, but you can get, depending on how much room you've got around that plant, you just want to make sure people aren't knocking the leaves because that'll actually damage the plant. But
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
so
Yeah,
so they're things. Where does your door open to your office? Things like that. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. The types of plants you mentioned earlier, you got to think where it's going before you can think of types of plant. Does that heavily affect which ones you recommend to put in?
Definitely, yeah. Low
Yeah,
light. There's a few different plants that can handle low light, like your
yeah,
Zanzibar ZZ plant, Sansevieria, which is snake plant. They're good in the lower light environments,
yeah,
and they're also good as a row of plants as sort of a divider as well.
yeah.
The ones closer to the window, you can get most of the time. You've got quite a bit of choices. If you've got natural light, then you've got a lot of choices.
Yeah, okay. And I think you've just answered a lot of people's questions, which is, even if you're in an office that doesn't get a lot of natural light, there's still plants that you can put in.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So those two, yeah.
Oh, do you want to just say those ones again?
They call it a ZZ plant, a Zanzibar gem. They have beautiful glossy leaves. They're not a big plant, but they're a beautiful looking plant. And the Sansevieria, which is commonly called the snake plant or mother-in-law's tongue.
We
They're
have that in our office, that one.
yeah, very
Yeah.
upright. They say they're one of the better air purifying plants as well.
Oh,
They're
is
good
that
at
right?
yeah.
We've noticed that it's very hard to kill that plant.
You just don't want to overwater it. Both of
Uh,
those plants,
yeah.
that reason is they don't want to be, they don't need a lot of water. You need to water them, but they're not like some plants that will need a good weekly water. Mm.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. So that's the type of maintenance that plants are going to need. So you're going to put them in a corner or on a shelf out the way to stop them getting damaged, and then a good weekly water is about what you recommend.
That will depend on the environment, how much air conditioning sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but that
is it similar to outside? In summer you're going to need to do different things to winter, or because it's inside, is it the same maintenance all year round?
sometimes depending on whether your office does get hotter, and a lot of offices that have a lot of windows can get quite hot
Yeah.
in summer. The other thing that happens is the air conditioning is on all the time, quite high, whether
Yeah.
it's on cool or so that can dry the plants out as well.
And that will mean you need to water more, or
Yeah, yes, yes.
yeah, okay. All right, cool. What is there any sort of like maintenance services people can bring in if they want someone to come look after their plants for them? Is that a thing?
So if you've got a really big like office building and lots of levels,
Yeah.
um, probably the best way to go is to hire plants.
Oh, wow. Well, and then
They,
someone will come around and maintain it, kind of like a car hire. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Yeah, okay. But that's not what you do in, multiple
Oh,
levels. That's probably not what we do either. So you're smaller offices. So, Kirrily, if we were to um, if we've just fitted out a new office and our client comes to us and said, can you recommend someone who can talk us through some plans? What's the sort
mhm.
of process for you? Do you go out on site and see them and talk about what they want?
Yes. So what I usually do is, I mean, if they contact me, I'll arrange a time to come and see them, have a look, and then I will come back with my recommendations in a proposal,
Yeah.
and then there and discuss the options.
And is that is sort of based around, the size of the office, the location you can put plants, and so you'll recommend the species and whatever?
Yeah, and I will always make sure they know what I'm recommending. I usually put photos in so they can see the sort of plants that we think would fit the environment.
Yeah. Do you talk to people about, whether they've got a bit of a green thumb, or do you?
I do Because because most places now have someone in the office that absolutely loves plants, and I always say that you should get to look after your office plants.
Yeah, okay. Make a little close bomb there.
Don't let anyone else.
Don't.
It's always one person. Yeah.
Okay, you've given us some tips on taking care of them. What is not to do? What should you definitely not do with them?
Don't let people empty their water bottles into the plants.
Okay, I'm surprised because I do that thinking I'm giving it a hand. Why not?
But the 5 people before you may have done it as well. So what that can do is drown the plant and just overwater it, and that will actually kill the plant.
Because you don't know how much water it's getting then.
No, so that's why we recommend one person is responsible for the watering.
I see. Yeah, that's clever. Yeah. What? Any others?
When watering, as long as the one person is doing it, you should make sure the plant gets a good water rather than just pour a little bit in here and there. Because if you're only just putting a little bit in the top, the whole plant, like the whole root system, isn't getting the water. So make sure you give each plant a good soak. Sometimes, I mean, if you've only got small plants, you can just put the sink overnight and soak from the bottom up. And then when you come back in, you can put them back.
Okay. So essentially it's better to give it one good water every so often than lots of little waters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Try and keep all your leaves clean. Keep the leaves clean.
Okay, what, just a bit of a dust over or something? Bit of a spruce up? Yeah. What about over company shutdowns and things like that? What do you have to do with them then?
Well, most plants can go for at least a week without a water. It just depends on the amount of time that they're closing. If there's things like peace lilies that can often need a bit more water, I would just recommend maybe someone takes it home and then brings it back with them. The bigger plants, just make sure that before you go on leave that you've given everything a really good water.
Okay. So yeah, the day before leave, that makes sense. Yeah, just give everything a good water. Yeah, there you go.
Or if it's a longer period of time, just get someone to come in.
Yeah, just the person that maintains the plants. They signed up for it. Yeah, okay. What about any like standout jobs today? Have you done any that have just gone for a crazy amount of plants or have looked really good when you've done?
Not a crazy amount. I just did a winery and they picked some really big plants.
Yeah.
And some pots, and they look amazing. Because rather than to go lots of plants, we did some really big feature plants, and they just look great.
Okay. Which winery was that one?
Serafino Wines.
We know. We're local. We're McLaren Vale local. We know all the wineries around here. Yeah, awesome. All right, cool. I think we've had a really good insight. Is there anything else that you think anyone should know?
Yeah, just that plants, they're great. And if, people, I'm happy if people ever want to send me questions when they purchase plants or want to chat about what they want to do, to give me a call.
Yeah. All right, awesome. We'll definitely put your contact details, maybe an email address with the article when we get that done up. So just before we leave, if people could look at something that's, is there like 5 plants that people should look at? Have you got something like that? You did the mother-in-law's tongue, the Zanzibar.
Yeah, I'd definitely say mother. Sorry, that's a local bird out there. I would say the Zanzibar gem, the ZZ plant, snake plant. Peace lilies are really nice looking plants, but they do need a bit more water than others.
Yeah.
Within the office environment, palms are really good. They're quite a hardy plant.
Yeah.
Then the other plant that we often recommend is any sort of type of Dracaena. Dracaenas are great. My favourite is Janet Craig. So that's a type of Dracaena. It's got beautiful green leaves. They're a great office plant as well.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. No doubt, Steph, when she puts the article together, she'll put all some pictures in, and so people can see what we're talking about here.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Kirrily, thanks so much for your time. Don't forget, it was Suci Plants and Living. And
Yes.
whereabouts is your office based?
We're shop 489 Goodwood Road, Goodwood, and we're on Instagram, Facebook, and we have a website as well.
There you go. So if anybody is looking for some plants, then don't forget to get in touch with Kirrily. Kirrily, thanks so much for your time.
Okay, thanks, Mickey.